We're going to talk. We're going to take about 5 minutes here as we're kind of winding down. There's a couple issues out there that always cause heartburn for our clients, for us. Maybe not these guys up here. And Randy's going to talk about what he's been seeing, trends, and have the other inspectors talk about some of the things that they seem kind of scary. They just seem scary to our buyers and obviously to our sellers. And talk a little bit about the best way to navigate and the sort of the points you wish everybody understood about these scary issues.
I don't know about the points we wish you understood, but since we had our big drought a couple of years ago, any foundation that's not buried greater than 5 feet has gone through a whole bunch of movement. So we're seeing industry-wide, and I've talked to these two guys, and I've talked to Phil Thornberry of Security in the past, a lot of crawl space foundations that were not cracked 3, 4, 5 years ago, all of a sudden are cracked and moving. And it's because of the drought that we had. There are a lot of foundation companies out there that repair those things. It is a very expensive repair. Unfortunately, sellers have no idea because how many people go into crawl spaces? I mean, that's what we get paid to do all the time. And we only go down there because we get paid to do it. I don't enjoy that. But, so, I mean, that's going to be, if you haven't already started to see that trend, there's a lot more foundation issues popping up on inspection reports that didn't used to be there before our drought. And what happens is the soils shrank, and then it rained again, and it's causing that soil to move around a lot more, and what was sitting there on good soil is now moving around. So it's a very big thing. Mold has always been a big thing, and different companies handle it differently as far as what we see when we're doing home inspections. My opinion, this is my personal opinion, I know I'm supposed to talk about industry, my personal opinion, mold in the attic, mold in the crawl space does not migrate into the house. It's got to have a reason to get there, it's got to have a moisture source. However, repairing that, taking care of mold in the attic or mold in the crawl space is very expensive. So it's always going to show up in our reports as a major defect or a safety hazard just because of the very nature of mold. You talk about termites, I haven't found a whole lot of things with termites coming up a whole lot here. The foundation thing has been big for our company. We've been seeing a lot of movement in there. We will typically say that it requires further evaluation by a qualified contractor to find out what the repair actually is. Is it a pier or 2 piers? Is it just patching the cracks? And that varies widely. There's also companies out there that, you know, you call this company, they're $10,000 or $15,000. You call that company, they're $5,000 or $6,000. So I wouldn't always go to the same foundation repair company if you have a foundation problem. Get 2 or 3 estimates out there just so that you can see where we're really at. Is this a $10,000 defect or is it a $5,000 defect? You know, where can we go with that? Anything you want to add to that, Travis?
We all have dealt with hail damage on roofs, and that's a moving target. I talked to an insurance agent the other day, and he said that the insurance companies are really tightening up on that, probably because we've had so much hail, so many these bad storms. But yeah, we get asked about that. You know, there is specific criteria, and yet does every insurance company follow that exact criteria? No, it kind of depends on who you get and what's going on. I've seen some houses getting roofs replaced 2 and 3 times. Their neighbor still has the same roof on it, and they can't get it repaired for hail damage. I know you're all kind of confused, saying, gosh, how do you tell? I don't know. I have no clue. I can tell you what criteria is, but whether that's going to get replaced or not really just kind of depends on your insurance company. What I always say is, you know, the buyer can't get that done, but the seller who owns the home can call their insurance company and ask, you know, can I get this roof replaced?
Actually, he touched on something that I wanted to bring up, and that's secondary damage. A home warranty company will not cover secondary damage. For example, if the sump pump fails and it floods the basement, the home warranty company will cover replacing or repairing the sump pump, but not the damage to the carpet. So if that happens, you need to make sure that your homeowners understand that, and as they call the home warranty company, they also need to call their homeowners insurance company as well to address that damage.
I will echo everything Randy and Alan said, and I will add that on older homes, we're starting to pick up 2 issues that have historically not been a big problem before. Number one, knob and tube wiring. Insurance companies are getting really, really picky about knob and tube wiring. to the point where they will not cover houses that have any active knock-and-tube wiring left in it. So that is rising in importance. And number two, especially among younger buyers, the EPA has done a great job of scaring people about lead-based paint and lead in the environment. So we are starting to see a lot more requests for lead testing on houses built before 1978. So that's something I know you guys have been dealing with for quite a while, but it's becoming more top of mind for our clients.
I know we were talking about commonly seen these days major defects. And I think everybody at this table would agree that one of the biggest thorns in your side is the HVAC system that you can't see, the cracked heat exchanger that may or may not be there. And I want to reiterate what Julie said earlier, get that licensed HVAC contractor in there to do that inspection. Give your warranty rep a call if you discover a crack. Give us a call in advance. Let's see what we can do to help, what kind of coverage we can provide or cannot, and maybe some tips to contractors that may be able to help you out.
I just want to reinforce something that Helen said earlier about educating your buyers and sellers with a story. Did an inspection. Well, sometimes when we do inspections, we walk away from that house thinking this deal is never going to fly. And then we find out a month later, we run in with the realtor again, hey, how did that one deal go? Oh, it closed last month or last week. And it shocks us. There was a house up north that I know the negotiation process was very difficult. Our inspection came up with a ton of defects, wiring defects, rotten defects in the crawl space. We even had our septic tracing dye, which we flushed down the toilet, come up in a pond and just outside the house. Lots and lots and lots of defects. One of the realtors is in this room right here, and how she and the other agent held this deal together, the only I can think of is the proper education of both the buyer and the seller and keeping them reasonable. So what Helen said about educating your buyers and what we're supposed to be doing, even though we're finding all these major defects, or all these defects, I shouldn't say major defects, we're bound to find the things that we're supposed to find. It's up to you folks to educate your clients on like the definition from the contract. Our definitions are different. So if you spend a little bit of time with your buyers and sellers up front and say, hey, when the inspection happens, these issues are going to come up, and this is how we're going to deal with them by our contract. And that will help you get through the deal. And I find, me personally, I've talked to both these guys, when you have a difficult deal, having that information out there first makes the deal flow smoother, even when you come up with things like sewage water in the pond right next to the house, and the deal still manages to close in a timely fashion. So the education part of this is really, really key, in my mind.
Thank you for reiterating that. I was thinking of, I had a house not long ago, outstanding agent on the other side, and I don't think she's here, mold top to bottom. There were so many sources of water, and there was literally mold from the attic to the crawl, and we got it done, one step at a time. So a few things, we're gonna wrap up on this topic here. First of all, is there ever been a house that couldn't be fixed? Maybe, right? But it's minuscule, focus on that. Houses are not, we don't throw them away because they have big problems. Work on it, get through it, educate your clients. Talk to your inspector and your warranty rep. Talk to them early, they're on our side. Their goal is to help educate and get a deal done. So get them on the horn early. Educate our clients up front, both the buyer and the seller. Do that, it's important, that's our job. Go over the importance of a warranty. I know we have to allow our clients to make that choice, but make sure you're educating them well on their options. Get estimates right away. As soon as you get that inspection report back with your buyer, don't wait 5 days and think the seller should get estimates. Get on it now. Again, your goal is to close the deal, and if time is delayed and you've got a seller already who's getting nervous and the buyer's starting to get nervous, just make those phone calls. Get the information that you're going to need. And that's with the buyers too. Don't wait until the seller side to get